Zahra, and I am going to talk about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was born in Medina January 8, 626 AD. Some of his siblings are Imam Hassan, Hazrat Abbas, Hazrat Muslim, Bibi Zainab, and Bibi Kulthum, peace be upon them all. When the Prophet heard the news of the second son of Bibi Fatima Zahra, he hurried to her house. When he took the baby in his arms, and said Adhan and Iqama in his ears. Then tears came to his eyes. Bibi Fatima Zahra asked why he was crying. He told her that this young boy of hers will achieve martyrdom, but he assured her that God will create a nation that will cry for Imam Hussein alayhi salam till the day of judgment. Before Imam Hussein alayhi salam went to the battle, he was the only man left to fight. All the others had gone and hadn't come back. The brutal army of Yazid had also killed baby Asghar in his own father's arms. Imam Hussein alayhi salam said goodbye to Bibi Zainab, Bibi Sakina, and all the women. Then he mounted Zojina and bravely went to the battlefield. After Shimr killed Imam Hussein alayhi salam, all the women were taken to Sham as prisoners. There they were taken to Yazid's castle. In the castle, Yazid and Bibi Zainab had an argument. Yazid was scared. Everyone knew who they were, so if he did something cruel to them, he had to finally let them go. So all the women in Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam went back to Karbala to properly bury the dead bodies. This all took place in 40 days. Salawat. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatima and I am going to do a presentation about Hazrat Hur alayhi salam. Hazrat Hur belongs to one of the branches of Tamim tribe. His family was from the elite. Hazrat Hur was highly respected by the people of Kufa. He was one of the best warriors of Kufa. According to one report, Ubaydullah summoned Hazrat Hur and appointed him as the commander for an army of nearly 3,000 soldiers and dispatched them to stop Imam Hussein. Although Hazrat Hur Rayahi was there to fight Imam Hussein, he was very polite. On the second day of Moharram, in year 61 AH, he blocked the way and didn't let Imam Hussein return to Medina. Hazrat Hur asked Umar Saad, "Will you fight this man?" "I swear I will fight against him and I will slaughter them all," he said. Then Hazrat Hur went towards Imam Hussein's tent. Hazrat Hur was ashamed of detaining Imam Hussein and his men in a desert without any water. When he got to Imam Hussein, he said, "You grandson of the Prophet, I am the same person who prevented you from going back to your home and made you stay here. I did not expect them not to listen to you and treat you so unfairly. I swear I would have never done this if I knew this would happen. I want to repent and beg God to forgive me. Will He forgive me?" "Yes, God will forgive you," said Imam Hussein. "Let me fight for you," said Hazrat Hur. During the battle, During the battle, Hazrat horse was injured, but he did not quit. He continued until his horse got killed. Hazrat Hor dismounted his horse and kept fighting. He killed 40 more people of the enemy's army, but Umar bin Saad's army attacked him and murdered him. After Hazrat Hur was murdered, Imam Hussein said, "You are free, just as the meaning of your name." Some of his words before joining the camp of Imam Hussein show his free choice in that decision, like this phrase, "I truly see myself between paradise and hellfire, and by God, if I get torn apart and burned, I will not choose anything but paradise." Salawat.
MashaAllah, very good speeches. MashaAllah, very well. Say loud salawat for our students. I will request Dr. Ejaz Ali Rizvi to come and say Marsiya. Salawat. Lights on.
Salawat. عابد سے یوں وطن میں کیا کسی نے کیا کلام، گزرے کہاں زیادہ قلم تم پہ یا امام. حضرت نے 3 بار کہا شام شام شام، سر ننگے میرا کنبت اور گرد خاصام، بیووں کا نام لے کے کدو شاد ہوتے تھے، بے بابا کا سر بھی روتا تھا اور ہم بھی روتے تھے. صلوات. جب ظہر تک حسین 72 کو رو چکے، یعقوب کی طرح علی اکبر کو رو چکے، تربت بنا کے ننھی سی علی اصغر کو رو چکے، ایک دوپہر میں چھوٹے سے لشکر کو رو چکے، سیدانیوں میں جا کے کہا شور شین سے، لو اب زمانہ ہوتا ہے خالی، حسین سے جب ظہر تک حسین. صلوات.
پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد.
I would like to say Asr ke time of the Ashura take, so say salawat for it.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرج.
At the time of Asr on the day of Ashura, what was Imam Hussein thinking and what did he say? Al min nasir li yansurna. On that one I have a marsiya. Asr ko شہ کی صدائی کسے آواز دوں عصر کو شہ کی صدائی کسے آواز دوں ایک میں ہوں میری تنہائی کسے آواز دوں اے علی اکبر تمہاری آخری ہچکی کے ساتھ اے علی اکبر تمہاری آخری ہچکی کے ساتھ کھو گئی ہے میری بینائی کسے آواز دوں تشنہ لب عباس جب ساحل سے واپس ہو گئے تشنہ لب عباس جب ساحل سے واپس ہو گئے القمہ رو رو کے چل آئی کسے آواز دوں جنگ سے میری زمینوں آسمان لرزے میں ہے جنگ سے میری زمینوں آسمان لرزے میں ہے کون دیکھے جنگ ہے بھائی کسے آواز دوں ڈوبتا ہے دل میرا خورشید کی کرنوں کے ساتھ ڈوبتا ہے دل میرا خورشید کی کرنوں کے ساتھ یہ اداسی اس پہ تنہائی کسے آواز دوں جب ردا چھینی گئی زینب نے رو کر دی صدا جب ردا چھینی گئی زینب نے دو کر دی صدا کسے آواز دوں شام ہوتے ہی زینب سے سکینہ نے کہا شام ہوتے ہی یہ زینب سے سکینہ نے کہا ہر طرف ہے سب تماشائی کسے آواز جز حسین ابن علی کس کو پکارے گا نواز جز حسین ابن علی کس کو پکارے گا نواز کون کرتا ہے مسیحائی کسے آواز دوں عصر کو شہ کی صدا آئی کسے آواز دوں ایک میں ہوں میری تنہائی کسے آواز دوں صلوات Today is our last program for our Moharram. I would like to thank our guest speaker, Hujjatul Islam, who came from Iran, and he gave us so much enlightening speeches. He brought us close to our Aima. He told us the purpose of Azadari. He told us the purpose of Imam Hussein, how Imam Hussein gave blood, his own blood, to make Islam forever religion, eternal religion. So may Allah Ta'ala give him more health, tawfiqat, give him best in his life, and we ask Maulana to do dua for us, and we will always be remembering him and do dua for him. For the sehat and salamati of Maulana, please say loudest salawat. So I would like to thank Brother Subhani, who invited him, and he has taken Maulana every day to the hotel, brought him there. May Allah give him some more strength, and say loudest salawat for Dr. Subhani. MashaAllah, every one of you I know have participated with their heart, and only Allah and Imam Hussein, can reward you and in the day of judgment and during this life. So for each one of you, especially Brother Asar is here, each one of you I know they have participated in each and every moment. Brother Abbas, Jaja is always there, and he closed the center in last couple of 12 nights. Every one of you, may Allah Ta'ala give all of you all the ajr. Say loudest salawat for yourself. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. May Allah keep this azadari forever in our heart. We're going to continue to have programs in the next weekends, 2 weekends, 4 weekends, inshallah. Brother Subhani will guide us with other speakers, and we would like Maulana to also come back to us, inshallah. So without further ado, we'll ask Maulana to come to the members. Salawat.
Dear brothers and sisters, Jami'an, Salamun Alaikum. So before I start, I would like to actually, first and most of all, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving every single one of us the blessings to actually attend the Majlis of Abawatullah. This Majlis is so unique and so special and so blissful that not everybody gets a chance to actually attend the Majlis of Imam Hussein. Now second, I would like to actually thank Imam Hussein himself for inviting us here. And third, I would like to thank all the community, the board members, every single person who has, stepped up a little bit more during these 12 days to actually make this majalis, happen. Living in the West, living somewhere that the religion is not something being looked at on like a daily basis, having a ceremony like this, 12 consecutive days, that's just a mashallah. So I'm not saying this to tell you that, I'm appreciating your, hard effort. No, because the reward of this is coming from the person who's actually you're mourning for, right? So inshallah, your true rewards will be from Imam Hussein, and inshallah his blissful mother, Lady Fatima Zahra, and inshallah Allah Almighty give us the blessings to continue becoming or being part of the true mourners of Abu Abdullah. Recite a salawat again. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. فقد قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا وسبحوه بكرة وأصيلا هو الذي يصلى عليكم وملائكته ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور وكان بالمؤمنين رحيما. Verses 41 through 43 of Surah Al-Ahzab. O you who have believed, remember Allah with much remembrance, and exalt Him morning and afternoon. It is He who confers blessing upon you, and His angels ask Him to do so, that He may bring you out of the darkness into the light. And ever is He to the believers merciful. Recite a second salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Recite a third salawat on behalf of our Imam Zaman, Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, and and let's not forget about all the marhumin and marhumat, all of those who are desperately looking down for our good deeds and perhaps remembering of them by reciting aloud salawat followed by Surah Al-Fatiha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So alhamdulillah, we've been talking and discussing this great hadith from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam about the signs and characteristics of Shia. And we've been talking about the two of the characteristics, one being tawadu, humbleness, the second one being amana, or being trustworthy. Tonight I'm going to continue on the same hadith. The third one that actually Imam mentions is the topic of zikr, or remembrance. Now what do we know about the remembrance? The month of Moharram itself is a remembrance, right? So we say, what's the difference between month of Moharram and, for example, month of Ramadan? They say month of Ramadan is a remembrance through the mean of the Quran, of the recitation of the Quran, of the praying. But the month of Muharram is a remembrance through the mean of Velaya, meaning through the mean of Imam al-Hussein to be specific. So you can connect the dots between the two different months, right? So what's the purpose behind this remembrance? Of course, the purpose is this process of cleansing the soul, working on the soul, always reminding ourselves like what's reality, what's unreal, to make sure that we're following the right path, inshallah. So what do we know about this zikr, this remembrance? They say it has two different meanings, right? One is to remember something that you already know, right? That's like called a remembrance. The second meaning to it is when you actually try to maintain something that you already know. Now sometimes you remind yourself, sometimes you remind this to someone else. So this all three meanings has been mentioned for the word zikr, right? Now they talk about different types of it, they talk about different benefits of it, different outcomes of it, right? So inshallah I'll go over the little bit details on those using the ahadith and perhaps some of the true stories that has been narrated from some of the great scholars for the topic of tonight. So the very first one, it says, مَنْ عَمَرَ قَلْبَهُ بِدَوَامِ الذِّكْرِ حَسُنَتْ أَفْعَالُهُ فِي السِّرِّ وَالْجَهْرِ. Meaning that the person who actually works on his heart, by what? مَنْ عَمَرَ قَلْبَهُ بِدَوَامِ الذِّكْرِ. By this continuation of this remembrance, by this constant remembrance, the person who actually works on his heart and builds up his heart, construct his heart, right? Makes his heart stable based on what? Continuation of this remembering and this remembrance. What's going to happen? حَسُنَتْ أَفْعَالُهُ فِي السِّرِّ وَالْجَهْرِ. All of his deeds, right, will become better even in hidden, meaning in his own personal time, or when he's in the public. What is it trying to tell us? That's this simple remembrance, this simple zikr that we all know, if it's done truly, if it's done correctly, it's going to have direct influence on all of our actions, right? So by simple zikr, basically you are controlling your own deeds. So hold on to that, I'm going to get to that in a little bit. The second hadith, قال الصادق عليه الصلاة والسلام من كان ذاكرا لله تعالى على الحقيقة. So Imam Sadiq mentions a condition. He says the person who's zakir, who's remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala al-haqiqah, on truth, meaning the way he's remembering God, it's no faking it. He's actually meaning what he says. فَهُوَ مُطِيعٌ, right? Then he gives the conclusion. He says that basically if you're saying the remembrance of God, you are obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ كَانَ غَافِلًا عَنْ فَهُوَ عَاصٍ. And the person who forgets about this remembrance, you can conclude that he's what? He's actually conducting evil acts, right? So again, that direct link between zikr and our actions, right? Between what we say, because sometimes when we say zikr, they say it's easy, you just say subhanallah, la ilaha illallah, you do all the steps. No, that's just one level of zikr, right? When we talk about different levels, they say the very basic one is what we say by words, right? So everybody knows, for example, the tasbihat Allah, right? So these are just example of using our tongue in order to just say the zikr of Allah. But there is this second level to it, right? In which we talk about the heart being accompanying what we actually say. So when it goes to the level of the heart, right? When it comes out of the heart, basically, it's going to influence all or every single action that we do. And I'm going to get to it, for example, based on the ahadith, on which occasions is actually highly recommended to use the zikr. We have this general one, which you can say at any time, right? For example, on your way to here, from your way here to home, go to work, go to school, all these ways that you're commuting, it's the best time to actually take extra benefit from your time, right? So for example, you can have the recitation of the Quran in your car, or have the Maddahi and the Nohas and all this stuff on your car. Take the most benefit out of your time. So that's just the basic level. But let's try to focus on the heart, right? How many different types are there? So Imam Sadiq mentions that if you say the zikr truly, right, you're technically obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? But if you do not, that means if you're forgetful, if you're ignorant towards this remembrance of God, so basically you're just going what? You're going down the hill. You're going opposite of the direction. So it makes the zikr something like a primary base for all of our actions, right? Then Imam continues and says, وَالطَّاعَةُ عَلَامَةُ الْهِدَايَةِ. And this obedience that I mentioned in this hadith, this is the sign of you being guided, you be on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, right? So zikr, obedience to guidance. وَالْمَعْصِيَةُ عَلَامَةُ الضَّلَالَةِ. On the contrary, if you do not say the zikr truly, what's going to happen? You're going to be conducting these evil acts, and that one's going to show that you've been diverted, you're not on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. وَأَصْلُهُمَا مِنَ الذِّكْرِ وَالْغَفْلَةِ. Then Imam again goes back to the roots. He said all of those different acts, the guidance or not being guided, goes back to what? To either reminding yourself or being ignorant. Zikr and ghafla. فَاجْعَلْ قَلْبَكَ قِبْلَةً لِسَانِكَ. Then Imam tells us the recommendation. Put your heart as what? As a qibla, as a way which we actually pray to, right? We call that qibla. So فَاجْعَلْ قَلْبَكَ قِبْلَةً لِسَانِكَ. Meaning make sure that whatever you're saying by your tongue, right, it's going to go according with how your heart is feeling. Make sure they're going to, towards the same direction. We don't say La ilaha illallah and the heart is thinking of Astaghfirullah, right? We're saying Allahu Akbar, the heart is thinking of another Astaghfirullah. We're saying Alhamdulillah, the heart is thinking of the third Astaghfirullah, right? They were saying that this pious man, right, he was walking around with his son, and he would see the Moharram. The first one he saw, he said Astaghfirullah, he tried to look away. The second one he saw, he says Astaghfirullah, he looked away. The third one, the fourth one, right? Then the fifth one came, he didn't notice it. His son turned around and told him, "Oh father, you missed one more Astaghfirullah," right? Meaning, you get the point, right? So basically, the heart has to go the same direction of, what we're saying. For example, if we say Allahu Akbar, what's the meaning of Allahu Akbar? The very common one. In the school of thought of the Shia, we say Allahu Akbar, it's actually shortened, right? For what? Allahu Akbar minay Yusuf, right? Meaning Allah is greater than what? So greater and greater than even being described. Meaning whatever definition you have for God, whatever, for example, different things you count for God, different characters, different attributes, different names, put them all aside, God is greater. So actually one of the practical methods to find that, sort of a peace of mind before starting the salat is to think about the meaning of Allahu Akbar. So whatever memory comes to your mind, whatever different thoughts comes to your mind, whatever different images comes to your mind, right? Just say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar until you get ready, and you get ready. Once that stage of feeling that Allah is greater than everything else is settled in you, then you actually say the actual takbir and you start your salah, right? So this is just one example, but again, the heart has to be, on the same line with the words that we actually choose to say. لا تحركه إلا بإشارة القلب. Then Imam gives us a second, criterion in a sense. He says, you have to work on your heart so much that it would not move, right? Even without your, pointing out where to go. Meaning you have to be in control of it. You have to tell it which way to go. You have to tell it, for example, what to say, right? Is that possible? Yes, it is possible, right? We don't want to be bossed around by our desires. Rather, we want to be in charge and boss our desires, right? It's not going to go around. Because usually when we ask these questions, it's like, so what do you guys want to do in the future? Well, I want to go to a good school, I want to get a good job, and then, I'm going to get married, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to buy a car. To what? Thank you. Recite what?
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah.
So they ask, what's the normal trend that you want to, grow up with, to be engineer, doctor, anything that you like, right? Then we ask him, then what? It's like, well, I just want to make money, I'm going to spend my time, make money, more money, continuous. It's all about something. It's either money, power, or something like that, right? But then here comes the question: are we living just to make money, right? Are we living to grow up, to get a job and make money, and that's it? Or are we living to go to school and become very educated, become, for example, a teacher? Is that it? Are we living to do, for example, do all these services to the society? Or is there more to it, right? So basically, are we living to earn money? Are we living to earn status? Are we living to, for example, find a position? Or is it that, no, all of those, again, becomes just a mean for ourselves for a greater purpose? What is that greater purpose? Is to get closer to God, right? Is to actually get to know God. Is to get closer to Him, is to see Him in everything we do, right? From the very morning, and they say, again, this is a test for it. The very, early morning that you get up, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? If that first thought is, okay, what I'm going to do today, that means you got to work on yourself. If that first thought is like, oh, what test I have today, that means you have to work on yourself, right? If the first thing that comes up to your mind is like, okay, what's my chores for today? I have to, for example, clean the bathrooms, I have to do all this, like, laundry and stuff. That means you have to work on yourself a little bit, right? This is the very first thing that you should come to your mind, right? Especially early in the morning as you wake up. It should be this topic, like, how much distance am I from my Creator, right? Have I been able to like get closer to Him or not? Basically, you're thanking the very first minute that you wake up in the morning. Why? Because He has given you a second chance. We say sleeping is like dying, but it is temporary, right? Dying is sleeping, but permanent, right? So technically, every night you sleep, you're technically dying, but then God is giving you a second chance the next morning, right? To do what? Again, to try again, try again, try again, learn from your mistakes, work on it, and wake up early, right? Everybody wakes up early here, right? So this is that temporary dying that we talk about. It's the same thing, right? Except, as I said, the death will become permanent, because then, the choices will stop. And that choices that we have is that precious value, capital that every human has it. And we have to like make sure that we actually will spend it on the right thing. Otherwise, what's going to happen? It will be all regrets. What's one of the names of the Day of Judgment? Yawmul Hasra. Yawmul Hasra, the day of regret. And this regret is not only for disbelievers, no. Even the mu'mins, right? Even the mu'minins, Torah. They regret on the day of Qiyamah. Why? Because they see the potentials they had, right? For example, they see that they could have been like so high, but they settled for so low. One of those regrets is what? They say actually the mu'mineen look up to the Shias of the Ahlul Bayt as what? As the people on earth are looking up to the stars at night. Meaning that this is how they look up to the Shias of the Ahlul Bayt, right? And they have this regret of like, we could have been there. We could have had that, status, we could have that position, we could have been at that level of heaven, but we settled for something a lot lower, right? So we have to understand what's that vision, what's that goal, in order to make those better choices as we live. وَمَوَافَقَةَ الْعَاقِلِ. Then Imam gives us the second one. He says, make sure that whatever your heart is going, it's not against your intellect, right? It doesn't become just pure sensation. We don't want that. You see, so we have intellect, we have the heart, and we have the shara, or the ahkam. These three has to like come out to the same conclusion. So it's not, we cannot just take one of them and say, okay, this is what I feel is right, I'm going to do it. This is what I think is right, so I'm going to do it. This is what I understand from the shara, so this is what I'm going to do it. No. They say if, for example, the intellect is complete, the heart is pure, and the shara is like right, all three are going to give you the same conclusion, the same result. That's why they say, for example, a lot of religious rulings in Islam is based on your fitrah. If you explain it, everybody accepts it. Why? Because it goes according to their inner nature. It goes according to their fitrah. We just have to make sure that fitrah is untouched and goes back to its original sense. Then once you present them with this ahkam, they accept it by themselves. You don't have to like explain to them why, for example, this ruling is such and such. وَرِضَى الْإِيمَانِ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى عَالِمٌ بِسِرِّكَ وَجَهْرِكَ. So this decision making that we have to do, right? Imam says, always be aware of this, that Allah subhanahu knows what you're doing in your private time and in the public, right? Whatever you are, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're, willing to do, all of this is, God knows. There's no way to, actually run away from Him. Now this hadith is pretty long. Let me get to the part at which Imam talks about the zikr. He says, وَالذِّكْرُ ذِكْرًا. So this remembrance of God, it has two types. Number one, ذِكْرٌ خَالِصٌ بِمُوَافَقَةِ الْقَلْبِ. It is this pure remembrance of God. It's like sincere. There is no, for example, shirk in it. There is no, considering different stuff in it. It's purely focusing on God. And it's muwafaqat al-qalb, right? It actually, it goes according with the heart. So it's both heart and the words going in the same direction. The second one, وَذِكْرٌ صَارِفٌ لَكَ بِنَفْيِ ذِكْرُ غَيْرِهِ. The second one is a little bit more difficult to explain. Imam Sadiq says that it is this remembrance of God through which, by remembering using that word or that specific zikr, you get to forget about every other attribute which does not describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Means it's a little bit more special in a sense. Then Imam explains, he says, as the Holy Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam, he mentions, أَنَا لَا أُحْصِي ثَنَاءَ عَلَيْكَ أَنْتَ كَمَا أَثْنَيْتَ عَلَى نَفْسِكَ. The Holy Prophet says, oh God, I cannot truly praise you the way you deserve to be praised, right? The only way that I can do that is if you yourself praise yourself, right? It's only when the Creator praises, it's like, His own it's actually, He has like, given the, what is worth, right? But when the creation is trying to like praise Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what we say, no matter how hard we try, we will never get to the perfect level. That's what they say, for example, about thanking God. We say Alhamdulillah, right? Is that enough? They say no, because who has given you the tongue to say Alhamdulillah? Who has given you the mind to remember and say Alhamdulillah? Who has given you this thought to say Alhamdulillah at this instant? So you need 3 more Alhamdulillahs at least, right? So what about the second one, right? Who has given you again the same thing? And then it continues and continues. So you constantly have to be saying Alhamdulillah, 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 and it never ends, right? So for every Alhamdulillah, you have to say 3 or 4 more Alhamdulillah. For every one of those, you have to say 3 and 4 more. It goes in factorial, right? So imagine how many Alhamdulillahs you have to say just to make up for one Alhamdulillah that you have started at the beginning. So that's why I said we can never actually thank Allah Almighty the way He should be thanked. So this is the 2 types of the dhikr. Now when we talk about the heart, what are the different stages of heart? They say heart has 4 different stages, right? 2 of them being good, 2 of them being evil, right? And then they actually narrate this or relate this to the Arab in Arabic. In Arabic we have this letters, right? Then you have these vowels, like A, E, O, we call them marfu, right? Mansub, right? So that's how they actually try to give the example. They say, when we look at the heart, it could go 4 different ways. Raf'un wa fathun wa khafdun wa waqfun, like A, E, O, and sukun. Everybody knows this one, right? Faraf'ul qalbi fi dhikrillah. So if you want the heart to go up, if you want the heart to elevate, rafa'a means to go higher, right? To break away from this mundane world, to go towards what the reality is. Faraf'ul qalbi fi dhikrillah. That resides in the remembrance of God. If you want the heart to open up, if you want the heart to be acceptance, if you want the heart to actually accept whatever that comes to you, that resides in Radallah. Into what? And to be pleased with whatever God has destined for you, right? Because here comes the question, a lot of times as I mentioned, we do a lot of things, but stuff doesn't go the way we want to, doesn't go the way we have planned to, doesn't go the way we have, for example, forecasted, right? They say you do your best, but the conclusion, right, you leave it up to God. So we can never judge by the conclusion. We rather try to make sure that whatever duty we have at that given instant in time is the right thing, and we just, do the duty as best as possible. What the conclusion is, it's something that has a lot of factors involved. So you have to be razi with, whatever comes up to you. Then Imam mentions the other 2. And if you want that heart to be sort of like sealed, right? That is, resided in what? In wasting your time towards other stuff other than God. And the 4th one, the sukoon, is like the heart is dead. Is that straight line, right? If you have this ignorance towards God, that's when your heart is actually completely dead. So 4 of them, right? If you wanted to elevate, you have to have the remembrance of God. If you wanted to open up to like the acceptance of the reality, you have to be pleased with God, right? The 3rd one is when your heart is, you feel like a little bit heavy weight on your shoulders in a sense. You feel like there's something missing in your life and you don't know what it is. They say make sure that you're not putting too much time around the stuff that is taking you away from God. Right? All these mashghala, they call it in Arabic, all these different distractions. And this distraction is, the way to go for this dunya. It always comes out to you in different, like flashing, like the new thing, the better thing, the stronger thing, right? They're always trying to gain your attention. Just take a look at their marketing strategies, like how do they approach people. It's very interesting, right? They take the same product, like maybe 6 months later they come up with a newer version, then 6 months later they come with again newer version. This one has all these cool features, this one has all the stuff that you can do. But you can do all the basic stuff with probably the first original model, right? So that's the way the world is. So this hadith is telling us this, that if you want to keep your heart alive, make sure you put all those distractions aside. Take what you need and then move on. And of course, you don't want to make your heart dead. And what makes it dead? Committing sins. Because committing sins, we said, is the ignorance of the heart. Now, why this remembrance of God is, makes the heart elevate? We say every time you remember God, every time you remind yourself of God, right? This is going to remove the obstacles between you and God. So basically the path that you're trying to take, the path itself becomes a remembrance, right? Just by reminding yourself. Imagine you have this very big test coming up, or very big competition coming up, very big job interview, right? What do? We get ready for it, we get prepared for it way in advance. We have all these posted, different reminders, different, for example, alarm clocks, right? Just to let us know, for example, how many days we have, how many hours we have left, how many times have I recited this, how many times have I performed this, how I practiced this, right? Right before the time comes up. And then you probably have so many different posters everywhere, like on your fridge, on your cabinets, everywhere you see, it's like a reminder. It's like, oh, don't forget, for example, 2 days from now you have that big interview. 3 days from now you have that, for example, SAT test. 4 days from now you have, that you have that big meeting with your boss about, about your promotion, right? So you constantly reminding yourself. You remind yourself why? To a point that becomes a solid thought in your mind. So the same thing works for the zikr of Allah. So if you continue reminding yourself with this zikr, you will reach a place that you're constantly reminding yourself of God despite of the situation, right? And that's why they say that's when the heart is remembering God. It's not only the language that's moving around, no. It's the heart that is actually doing the zikr of God. So they say, for example, imagine if someone loses someone very dear to them, right? A very beloved person, if they lose them. You see the sadness in their face, even though they're doing their normal, for example, chores and going to work and going to school. Despite of doing their, social activities and duties and responsibilities, their heart is actually sad and is thinking about the loved one. So that's how we should be towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we go to work, it's not that we just go to work. No, we're going to work with God. When we go to school, we're going to school with God, right? When we come back home, when we come to our parents, we go to home and to our parents with God. When we talk to them, we're talking to them with God watching over us. So when we have this one, being a solid thought in our mind, there's absolutely no way that when I come to speak to my father, for example, I'm going to be disrespectful. No, because I see myself constantly under the surveillance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recite the salawat again. Now let me talk about some of the examples of this remembrance. I think I gave you this promise that one day we should just talk about a very simple zikr or example of salawat, right? So what is this salawat that is so important and so special and we always recite it in our majalis, right? They say salawat is the most comprehensive prayer that you can recite or you can offer, right? It includes pretty much the whole package in one. It includes Allahu Akbar, it includes Alhamdulillah, it includes Subhanallah, it includes La ilaha illallah, it includes Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. So all 5 of them, it's been summoned in one simple prayer of salawat, right? So recite the salawat. And the reason to back it up, one person comes up to Imam al-Sadiq and he says, I found 2 ayahs in the Quran which they have contradiction. One tells us the malaika, the angels, are doing tasbih of God day and at night time. So they're constantly doing the tasbih, the praising of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, daytime and nighttime. It's like a consecutive motion. The other ayah tells us that Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. God and the angels are doing what? They're reciting their salawat, they're sending their regards to and Nabi, to the Prophet. So these two ayahs, one says they're doing tasbih, the other one that said they're doing salawat. One says salawat, one says tasbih. Tasbih, subhanallah, right? Subuhan Qudusun, right? But then this one is salawat, so this is contradiction. And also says no, this is actually the same thing. It's a zikr of salawat. It includes subhanallah, it includes, alhamdulillah, it includes all those tasbihat arba'a within itself. Right? Now, what are the barakahs of salawat? What are those results, the fruits and outcomes of salawat? Marhum Ayatollah Bacha was saying that if people would notice the effect of a simple salawat, right, even for themselves or even for their, marhumina marhumah, they would be constantly reciting salawat, not letting even 1 second, slip their time, basically. Right? So he was saying that if you would only see like how the difference would make just reciting one salawat for somebody. So let's remember the marhumin and marhumat and recite the salawat again. And we have a lot of ahadith in which says that by one salawat you're basically washing away your sins. There's this another one which talks about the Jannah, the heaven, right? And they say one salawat gives you what? Gives you one tree in Jannah. One Alhamdulillah gives you another tree in Jannah. One La ilaha illallah gives you another tree in Jannah. One Allahu Akbar, one tree, right? Then this person stands up and says, oh Rasulullah, in that case we have all this, huge amount of jungles and gardens and all this stuff, so we should be good to go, right? But the Holy Prophet says what? Yes, indeed, it gives you that, as long as you keep them. You don't send fires to burn them down, right? You don't send bulldozers to bring down all the trees, right? You have to maintain it. So that's one thing that we have to benefit from the Majalis of Imam Hussein. MashaAllah, everybody comes in and attends and becomes purified, cleans their soul, right? But after the 10, 12 days, we're going back to the normal life, right? We have to maintain whatever we have gained and make it more, right? Otherwise, it's just going to go away. Then again, we just have to hope and do du'as that we'll be blessed until we yet again witness another month of Moharram, inshallah, next year, or the month of Ramadan. Right? And that's the same thing that they say about ziyarah. When you go to ziyarah, they say when you look at the golden dome of Imam al-Ma'soom, your sins will get washed away. If you just look at the golden dome, right? You even haven't gone inside. You're just looking at the golden dome, right? Your sins gets washed away, right? But the whole thing is to maintain this one. When we go back, don't go back to our normal, daily habits, and don't go back to our, whatever we were doing before that. No, try to maintain it, try to work on it. Now that you have become clean, second chance again, right? Now how are you going to behave? And that's the whole thing about death, right? When the kuffar, when they die, what's the very first thing they wish for? Oh God, return us to this world, give us a second chance. Perhaps, they use perhaps or maybe. Maybe we can do a good thing, right? And that's what they say. It's like when the time comes to depart, it's the time that the person's personality is already firm and solid. Meaning that there's absolutely no other ways for him or her to elevate more or become less. It's already there. It's a good example if you're a teacher. When you start teaching, on the first day that you see your students, you kind of know, for example, he's an A student, he will be B students, and he'll be, that these students that you have to always help. You kind of know because you can see, right? So they say, it's the same thing. We'll get, as we're building up, as we're growing and growing and growing spiritually, we get to this stage that it becomes, solid within our personality, right? But we want to make sure that when it comes to that stage is something merciful. It's not something on, on the evil path, for example, right? Inshallah. So then let me give you another hadith, and I'll try to go start the Zikr al-Musiba, inshallah, for tonight. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. So this hadith actually talks about the Holy Prophet of Islam when he was going to the Mi'raj. The Holy Prophet, when he goes to Mi'raj, he sees different stuff, right? Different stuff gets revealed to him. Out of those, one of them is the heaven, right? So he goes to heaven and he sees the heaven, he sees the different levels of heaven, he sees the different gates, he sees the different rooms, all those different, parts of heaven. So this part is talking about that they say heaven has 8 gates, right? So when Holy Prophet goes to them, it's interesting. He says every gate had this saying on it, right? And had this characteristics about it. So only those people will be able to enter through that gate. So the first one, فَعَلَى أَبَّلِ بَابٍ مِنْهَا مَكْتُوبٌ. It was written on the first gate of heaven. This was written, لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله. لكل شيء حيلة وحيلة العيش أربع خصال. For everything, for every problem, there is a solution, right? وحيلة العيش أربع خصال. The solution to have that comfortness, right, is what? Is 4 different characters. القناعة وبذل الحق وترك الحقد ومجالسة أهل الخير. Number 1, to be content, have qana'a, you're راضي with whatever you get, right? Number 2, to spread the word of haqq. If you know about something truth, to spread that word, convey the message, right? Number 3 is وَتَرْكُ الْحَقْدِ. Put aside keeping grudge. Avoid keeping grudge. Holding grudge is no good. And number 4, مُجَالَسَةُ أَهْلِ الْخَيْرِ. Try to be a company. Try to, hang out with the people who are actually doing righteous deeds. Meaning be selective on the people that you choose. Have these 4 characters, you'll have the solution for having that peace of mind that you want. You have the solution to have that comfort that you're looking for, that convenience that everybody's looking for. وعلى الباب الثاني, on the second level, مكتوب, this is what's written, لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله. So, on the second gate of heaven, very same expression, لكل شيء حيلة وحيلة السرور في الآخرة أربعة. For everything there is a solution, and in order to find that surur, to find that happiness, to find that felicity, to find that prosperity in the hereafter, there are 4 characters to consider. مسح رؤوس اليتامى. Number 1, to have pity over the orphans, right? Number 2, والتعطف على الأرامل. Be kind towards the widows. والسعي في حوائج المؤمنين. And try to resolve, like mu'mineen's problems. وَالتَّفَقُّدُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينَ. And look after the fuqara and the masakin. Look after the poor ones. Look after those who are homeless. This is the second one. Then Holy Prophet talks about the third gate. مكتوب لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله. لكل شيء حيلة وحيلة الصحة في الدنيا أربعة. For everything there is a solution. And if you want the solution for being healthy in this dunya, you have to do 4 things. Thank you very much. Inshallah, I have to barakat is 2 minutes. Like, wow. So we say another salawat. So the Holy Prophet says, if you want that health in this dunya, you have to do 4 things, right? Number 1, qillatul kalam. Speak less, right? Don't talk too much. Number 2, qillatul manam. Do not sleep too much, right? So don't sleep too much, don't talk too much. Number 3, qillatul mashi, right? Don't walk too much. And number 4, qillatul ta'am. This one's for me. Don't eat too much. So don't eat too much, don't walk too much, don't say too much, and don't sleep too much. This 4. Keep this in mind. You have the health that you want. You have that healthy lifestyle in this dunya, inshallah. وعلى الباب الرابع, on the 4th gate, مكتوب لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم زيفه من كان يؤمن بالله. It says on the 4th gate, the person who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the day of resurrection, the day of Qiyamah, فليكرم زيفه من كان يؤمن بالله. Then he's going to actually honor, and he's going to receive his guest with respect. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم جاره. Right? Not only the guest, number 2, his or her neighbor. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم والديه. Number 3, the person who believes in the hereafter, the person who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to pay their respect to their parents. And number 4, فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ يَسْكُتْ. He would not speak a word unless if it's a right word, if it's a good word, it has some sort of a khair and blessing in it. Otherwise they keep silent. They don't just talk randomly, right? And that's what we've seen in a lot of ulamas. They barely talked, but when they talked, they give you a piece of wisdom, right? Or for example, when you look at the infallibles, every little sentence that they say, right, it becomes a hujjah, or it becomes that, that reason, that something that shows us the path. Meaning that on every single word that they would say, right, they would think about it. They would not just say any words. And that's one of the ways to actually fix our, correct our deeds, is to correct the words that we actually choose to say, right? Imagine you work on the way you speak, your actions, your deeds, and your amals becomes better, right? Then the Holy Prophet talks about the 5th gate. Again, maktubun la ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah, Aliyyun waliyullah, man arada an la yuzlama fala yadlam. The one who does not want to become oppressed, he or she should not oppress others, right? وَمَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ لَا يُشْتَمَ فَلَا يَشْتَمْ. If you do not want to be insulted, then you should not insult others. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ لَا يُذَلَّ فَلَا يُذِلْ. If you do not want to be looked down upon, if you do not want to be belittled by other people, then you should not do the same thing towards others. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يَسْتَمْسِكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ فَلْيَقُلْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ مُحَمَّدٌ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ عَلِيٌّ وَلِيُّ اللَّهِ. Then the Holy Prophet says, if you want to hang on to the Urwatul Wuthqa is that, that Safinatul Najah, that vessel, that mean of transportation in which you can hold on to actually move from this dunya to the akhirat all the way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That's Sirat al-Mustaqim. What should you say? فَلْيَقُلْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ مُحَمَّدٌ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ عَلِيٌّ وَلِيُّ اللَّهِ. There's 3 zikrs. وعلى الباب السادس, on the 6th gate, مكتوب لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله من أراد أن يكون قبره وسيعا فسيحا فليبني المساجد. The person who wants his grave or her grave to be extended, to be like a very huge, in acres and in infinite, amount in terms of the distance wise, right? فليبني المساجد. Then he or she should do what? Should build mosques, should attend the mosque in a sense. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ لَا تَأْكُلَهُ الدِّيدَانُ تَحْتَ الْأَرْضِ فَلْيَسْكُنِ الْمَسَاجِدِ. The person who does not want his body or her body to be, eaten by all these insects as they put the body in the grave, what should he or she do? فَلْيَسْكُنِ الْمَسَاجِدِ. They should spend time in the masjid, right? وَمَنْ أَحَبَّ أَنْ يَكُونَ طَرِيًّا مُضِرًّا لا يبلى فليكنس المساجد. So if the person wants his body or her body to stay fresh, right? What should they do? They should attend, and they should do, for example, cleaning of the masajid. وَمَنْ أَحَبَّ أَنْ يَرَى مَوْضِعَهُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ فَلْيَكْسُ الْمَسَاجِدَ بِالْبُسُوطِ. And the person who wants to see their house, their home in Jannah, in the heaven, what should they do? They should actually basically donate carpet to the masajid. Make sure the masjid has the proper carpet. وعلى الباب السابع مكتوب لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله بياض الغلبة في أربع خصال. On the 7th gate, we're going up, right? It says if you want that bayad bayad comes from the whiteness, that light, that purification of the heart. It comes with 4 characters. Number 1, Iyadatul Mariz. Go and visit those who are sick or ill. وَاتِّبَاعُ الْجَنَائِزِ وَشِرَاءِ الْأَكْفَانِ وَرَدِّ الْغَارِضِ. So go and visit the sick people and those who are ill. And then number 2, attend the ceremony of burying a person, attend the burial ceremonies like the Tashiyah Janaza, right? And number 3, Washira al-Akfan, right? Try to buy your kafan or buy kafan for others, right? وَرَدَّ الْقَارِض. And whenever you can, try to give money to other people as a loan, right? So this 4 is going to get you what? It's going to get you that purification of heart, right? That peace of heart in a sense that, inshallah, we ask Allah mainly to give us the tawfiq to be able to have all these 7 levels of heaven and, inshallah, more. And we talk about the dhikr of Allah. There is this great hadith in which the Holy Prophet says that remembering me, it's a zikr of God, and remembering Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen, it's a zikr of God, and remembering, for example, Lady Fatima Zahra, it's a zikr of God. And remembering the Ahlul Bayt, every single one of them, it's the zikr of God. So for example, there is this door on the heaven which they say has this knock on it, right? This, for example, like a ring in a sense, right? Like a doorbell. That doorbell is made out of a red jewel, right, with a golden plate. So once you knock on it, once you ring the bell, it says, Ya Ali, right? So that's just one zikr of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now let me tell you about a different kind of remembrance. And this is about the animals and the birds. The ones that we usually may think that they do not say anything, right? This, again, it's a hadith in Bahar al-Anwar, in which Allah Majlisi narrates this one. It says, when the tragedy of Ashura happened, then once the caravan, once everybody left, this white bird came actually to the land of Karbala. As it was flying over the land of Karbala, it noticed that something is dirty. It noticed that the sands of the Karbala are red. So it came down, it landed on the Qatlagah, right? Then it saw the body of Abu Abdullah Hussein laying there on the plains of Karbala. The hadith has it that this bird, put his wings on the blood, mixed it with the blood, right? And then started flying back towards, his other friends. So once he reached them, he finds them that they are sitting there, they're enjoying their time, they're looking at their nature, they're doing all their own stuff. So he turns around and he tells them that, how come you guys can be here and be happy and be going through your normal stuff when the son of the Prophet has been murdered and it's been, his body is laying there on the plains of Karbala. There is no cover over him. There is nothing protecting him from the sun or the wind. He doesn't have a head in the body, right? So all the birds, they come back to the plains of Karbala. So they come and they see that the story that he was saying, it is true. All of them come down. They see that the only za'ir that Imam Hussein has are the animals of the desert. There is no human there. And they're just circling around this body of Abu Abdullah Hussein, and they're mourning in their own language. So the birds come down, every single one of them, they come down, they actually, again, put their wings on those bloods, and they start mourning for Abu Abdullah Hussein as well. They start saying, who has done such a thing to Imam Hussein? Who has severed his head from his body? How come this body doesn't have any kafan? How come this body has been trampled over on his chest and on his back? How come this body doesn't have his parts? Where is his arm? Where is his leg? How come all this stuff has been laying down here out in the open? Yet again, these birds say that despite of all of this whole plains of Karbala where the Qatlagah was highly brightened. It was as if there is a sun being hidden within the plains of Karbala. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Ibna Rasulallah. It is usually a tradition on the last day of the majalis, they don't talk about the person himself, but they rather talk about the person who has suffered the loss. So inshallah tonight, with your permission, I'm going to talk a little bit about another farewell. Let's go back about 50 years. Let's go back to the city of Medina. Let's go back to the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam. When all the kids are standing there, Asma is there, Lady Fatima al-Zahra is in the room. She calls for Asma. She said, oh Asma, can you bring me that package that I have on that room? She brings a package for her. She opens it up and she starts taking out a kafan from it. She said, this is my kafan. She takes out a second one. She says, oh Asma, this is the kafan of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Then she takes out a third one. She says, oh Asma, this is the kafan of my son, Imam al-Hasan al-Mushtaba. Then Asma looks at the package, there is no more kafan. She says, oh Lady Fatima, haven't you forgot about the fourth one? Haven't you forgot about your Hussein? Then Lady Fatima starts crying. She said, oh Asma, don't even ask about my Hussein. He doesn't need a kafan. His body will be left alone without a kafan on the plains of Karbala. Then he tells her, Asma, go outside of the room and then call me back. Call my name after like a couple of minutes. If I answer you, that means I'm still in this world. If I don't answer you, that means my soul has departed my body. Then send my children to the mosque to get Amir al-Mu'mineen. Asma goes outside of the room. The children are sitting there. They're looking desperately at Asma. What's the news about our mother? Is she feeling better? She doesn't know what to say to them. She's just like trying to avoid looking at them in the eyes. After a couple of minutes passes by, she calls the Lady Fatima's name. She says, oh Fatima, oh Fatima, oh Fatima. She doesn't hear anything back. She looks at Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein. She tells them that, go to the mosque, go and get your father, go get Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam al-Hasan and Hussein, they run towards the mosque. Amir al-Mu'mineen is talking to other companions. The minute he sees Imam al-Hussein and Hussein, and the looks on their faces, the narrations has it that Imam Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the believers, he faints out, he falls down on the ground. They have to sprinkle some water over his face to make him come back to life. Then he starts running towards the house, but he keeps on dropping on the floor, he keeps on hitting on the floor. A couple of times he hits the ground, he gets up, he hits the ground again, he gets up, until he reaches the house. He enters the room. He sees the Lady Fatima al-Zahra laying there, wearing her kafan, as if like she's been dead for a couple of years. He starts crying. He goes closer to Lady Fatima al-Zahra. He starts calling her name, oh Fatima, how come you're not answering me? He goes closer. He puts both of his hands on the face of Lady Fatima and says, oh Fatima, this is Ali's talking to you. Then he calls Asma and says, oh Asma, bring some water for me. Let's start the process of doing the ghusl of Lady Fatima. Oh Asma, pour some water, but pour this water slowly. Oh Asma, pour some water, but pour this water drop by a drop. Oh Asma, pour this water. And then Asma says, as I was pouring this water, all of a sudden I saw Amir al-Mu'mineen started crying very hard. I looked, I saw that he's actually touching the bicep of Lady Fatima al-Zahra. It's all been bruised, it's all been like severely damaged. They finish up the ghusl, they finish up the kafan. And now usually once the kafan is done, they allow the relatives, they allow the children, they allow those who are close to come and say goodbyes and farewell to the past one. Amir al-Mu'mineen calls out, says, oh Hassan, oh Hussein, oh Zainab, oh Kulthum, come inside and say farewell to your mother. They come inside. Imam al-Hasan al-Mushtaba immediately goes and picks up the hand of the Lady Fatima al-Zahra, puts it on his face. He says, oh mother, this is your Hassan. This is your Hassan. How come you're not answering my call? Imam al-Hussein walks in. He goes to the foot of his mother. He puts the foot of Lady Fatima al-Zahra on his face. He said, oh mother, this is your Hussein. This is your Abu Abdullah. This is your Hussein, the one that you used to hug and used to kiss. Why aren't you answering my call? Lady Zainab comes in, Lady Kulthum walks in, they all throw themselves at the body of Lady Fatima al-Zahra. Gabriel comes up to Amir al-Mu'mineen and says, oh Ali, remove the skins from the body. It is about the soul to come back to the body if you do not remove these children from the body. I don't know how did Amir al-Mu'mineen remove these 4 kids from the body of Lady Fatima al-Zahra. But la yawmka yawmika ya Abu Abdullah. Let's go to the day of Ashura. Once everything was done and said, there comes the caravan to say their farewell. There comes Lady Zainab. She's putting aside all the arrows and all the spears, all the broken swords. She's removing the dust from this body that's been trampled over by horses on the front, on the chest, and on the back. This body doesn't have a head. This body doesn't have an arm. This body doesn't have a finger. She's removing all this dust and all this soil from this body. And this body doesn't have a head, but she leans over and she gives a kiss on the veins of this body. There comes the baby Sakina. She's asking, oh auntie, whose body is this one? She keeps looking at the Lady Zainab to give her answer, but Lady Zainab is not able to say whose body it is. Lady Sakina looks and finally she realizes. She embraces the body of Abu Abdullah. She starts crying so hard. Now there comes the soldiers. They try to separate her from the body. But no matter what they do, this baby Sakina is not going to let go of the body of her father. So they go back, they remove their lashes, they remove their whips, they come back with the end of their spears. Everybody tries to hit her somehow so she would let go of this body, no matter how hard they try. Finally, with all those lashes and whips and hits, they're able to separate the baby Sakina from the body of Abu Abdullah Hussein. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Let's do a small tawassul to Lady Fatima al-Zahra. Assalamu alayka ya Fatima al-Zahra ya bint Muhammad ya qurrata ayn ar-rasul ya sayyidatana wa mawlatana إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند اشفعي لنا عند الله يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا وجيهة اشفعي لنا يا وجيهة اشفعي لنا السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار Sharifa, all the members of this community and all the mu'mineen and mu'minat around the world. Let's recite the holy verse of Allah G 5 times together. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم العز الأجل الأكرم إلهي بحق محمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين وتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مغلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك اكفنا يا قاضي الحاجات ويا كاشف المهمات إنك على كل شيء قدير. O Allah, we ask you humbly to hasten the appearance of our Imam Zaman. O Allah, we ask you humbly to put us among his true companions. O Allah, we ask you humbly to forgive all of our past sins. O Allah, we ask you humbly to forgive all of our past ones. O Allah, we ask you humbly to accept this majalis from us. O Allah, we ask you humbly to give us the tawfiq and chance to always be among the true mourners of Allah Abdullah Hussain. O Allah, we ask you humbly to give us the tawfiq of his ziyarah. O Allah, we'll ask you for the tawfiq to give us his intercession. O Allah, we'll ask you humbly to protect our children and family. O Allah, we'll ask you humbly to continue guiding us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. O Allah, O Allah, O Allah, on the last night of this majlis, we'll ask you humbly to accept everything that we have done through these 12 days, not out of the stuff that we have done, but out of the mercy that you have. O Allah, we'll ask you humbly to give us the tawfiq to attend the majlis of Abu Abdullah Hussain next year as well. O Allah, we'll ask you humbly to put our end a very good and blessed end. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. Na rakh ab chadar bazuon pe, na rakh ab chadar bazuon pe, tu neele daag chupa nahi, Zahra ki jaan sharma तेरे नाना का ये रोज़ा है, तेरे नाना का ये रोज़ा है, कोई कूफा शाम की राह नहीं, ज़हरा की जान शर्मा नहीं, ना रख अब चादर बाजों पे, तू नीले दाग छुपा नहीं, ज़हरा की जान शर्मा नहीं, ना रख अब चादर बाजों पे, तू नीले दाग छुपा नहीं, ज़हरा की जान शर्मा नहीं। जो चादर उजली رنگ اس کا کیسے لال ہوا، اب سر پہ تیرے اے شہزادی، اب سر پہ تیرے اے شہزادی، وہ کیوں موجود رضا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں، نہ رکھ اب چادر بازوں پہ تو نیلے داغ چھپا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں۔ 18 جو تیرے بھائی تھے، کس بات پہ تجھ سے روٹھ گئے، 2 شہزادے کیوں ساتھ نہیں، 2 شہزادے کیوں ساتھ نہیں، کیوں ساتھ عباس تیرا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں، نہ رکھ اب چادر بازوں پہ تو نیلے داغ چھپا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں۔ یہ کون جوان ہے ساتھ تیرے، ہیں کپڑے جس کے خون میں بھرے، کن زخموں سے یہ چور ہوا، کن زخموں سے یہ چور ہوا، آنکھوں سے بھی خون رکتا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں، نہ رکھ اب چادر بازوں پہ تو نیلے داغ چھپا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں۔ کس حال میں کربل سے آئی اے زینب اپنے شہر میں تو، اب اس سے سوا افسوس ہو کیا، اب اس سے سوا افسوس ہو کیا، پہچان سکی زہرا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں، نہ رکھ اب چادر بازوں پہ تو نیلے داغ چھپا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں۔ وہ بچی جس کو سینے پہ شبیر سلایا کرتے تھے، میری آنکھیں ڈھونڈ کے ہار گئیں، میری آنکھیں ڈھونڈ کے ہار گئیں، نہیں ملتا اس کا نشان کہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں، نہ رکھ اب چادر بازوں پہ تو نیلے داغ چھپا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں۔ ایک گنجدن معصوم بھی تھا، نام اس کا اصغر رکھا تھا، کیوں خالی گود رباب کی ہے، کیوں خالی گود رباب کی ہے، اسباب میں کیوں لگا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں، نہ رکھ اب چادر بازوں پہ تو نیلے داغ چھپا نہیں، زہرا کی جان شرما نہیں، نہ رکھ اب چادر بازوں پہ تو حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین۔
حسین کی دکھ بھری کہانی تمام دنیا سنا کرے گی، حسین کی دکھ بھری کہانی تمام دنیا سنا کرے گی، جو رو پڑے گا اسے جہاں میں علی کی بیٹی دعا کرے گی، بھائی کے بے لاشہ کفن پہ یہ کہہ کر چلی تھی سیدہ، جو کام تیری مقتل میں بچ گیا ہے وہ کام میری ردا کرے گی۔ حسین باقر سے کہہ رہے تھے کہ میری سکینہ کو ساتھ رکھنا، سفر کے ہر موڑ پہ یہ بچی تجھے دلا سے دیا کرے گی۔ یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین دم حسین تیرا غم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین. ہے یہی دعا ہر مومن کی، ہے یہی دعا ہر مومن کی، رے آنکھ ہماری نم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین. تصویر پیغمبر کے غم میں یہ سارا عالم روتا ہے، تصویر پیغمبر کے غم میں یہ سارا عالم روتا ہے. گھر گھر میں مجلس جاری ہے، گھر گھر میں ماتم ہوتا ہے. زنجیر سے ماتم اکبر کا، زنجیر سے ماتم اکبر کا، تا حشر کریں گے ہم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین. خون حیدر کا ہے اصغر میں، اس بات کو حرمل بھول گیا. خون حیدر کا ہے اصغر میں، اس بات کو حرمل بھول گیا. خاطر ستم ہر قوم پہ جو نیزے پہ جھولا جھول گیا. ہے کر گیا سارے عالم کی، ہے کر گیا سارے عالم کی، ہر آنکھ کو وہ پرنم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین. معصوم جوانی قاسم کی اب چین سے خاک پہ سوتی ہے، معصوم جوانی قاسم کی اب چین سے خاک پہ سوتی ہے. کر کر کے یاد اس منظر کو کربل کی زمین بھی روتی ہے. جس طرح ہوا ٹکڑے ٹکڑے، جس طرح ہوا ٹکڑے ٹکڑے، مقتل میں تیرا قاسم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین، ہر دم حسین تیرا غم حسین. لے پرسا اس معصومہ کا کانوں سے جس کے خون بہا، لے پرسا اس معصومہ کا کانوں سے جو جس کے خون بہا. جو دفن ہوئی زنجیروں میں جھلک اڑتا جس کو کفن ملا، جو دفن ہوئی زنجیروں میں جھلک اڑتا جس کو کفن ملا. ٹکرا تھی جو سر زندہ میں، ٹکرا تھی جو سر زندہ میں، رو کہتی تھی ہر دم حسین، ہر غم حسین تیرا غم 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 حسین. یا حسین 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 یا حسین. نعرہ صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجه.
السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ، السلام علیکم یا ابن رسول اللہ، السلام علیکم یا ابن امیر المؤمنین ابن سید الوسیل، السلام علیکم یا ابن فاطمة سیدۃ نساء العالمین، السلام علیکم یا علی الارواح التي حلت بفنائک، علیک منی سلام اللہ ابدا ما بقیت وبقی اللیل والنہار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى آقائے غریبان مولائے بے کسان بادشاہ خراسان زامنان یتیمان السلام علیکم امام رضا پور شبینہ رحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم غریب الغرباء السلام علیکم یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء السلطان یا رب والعجم یا علی ابن موسی رضا کن شبینہ روحی جسم لقلب دا رحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم صاحب العصر والزمان الامان 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 من فتنة الزمان السلام علیکم یا شریک القرآن السلام علیکم امام انس والجان یا جل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسحر اللہ مخرجک وظہورک رحمت اللہ وبرکاتہ
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم اللہم کل ولیک الحجت ابن الحسن صلواتک علیہ وعلا آبائی فی حاضر الساعة وفی کل ساعة ولیا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودلیلا وعینا حتی تسکنہ ارضک طوعا وتمتعہ فیہا طویلا
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد حسینیات زندہ باد حسینیات زندہ باد حسینیات زندہ باد یزیدیات مرد آباد یزیدیات مرد آباد یزیدیات مرد آباد نعرہ
You get to be moderated. You get to be taller than all.
No, yeah.
No, maybe taller than Jeff.
Like, you know, by heart or mine. No, which one?
Make me taller than Jeff.
Like the whole, like, after,
No.
you know how after Mato's done, they do this one, the whole thing?
I'm taller than Jeff. It feels so
If
good.
you have paper, why don't you be able to read it?
Yeah, I was about 6 feet, wasn't I?
No. Yeah, 13.
عباس تیرا چاہوا سنبو